next topic is to describe the characteristics of life. What is the evidence of life? What can make you believe that someone is living? Movement can occur in micro level or macro level. Micro level or macro level. That is, we have micro movement and macro movement. When we talk about micro movement, we are talking about the movements in the body. Maybe I will say that the molecules in the body are in a constant motion. Even some organs undergo movement. When you eat, the rhythmic contractions of the muscles in the esophagus that help to propel food downward to the stomach, the churning activity of the stomach brought by the rhythmic contractions of the smooth muscles in the stomach, the peristaltic movement in the intestines brought by the rhythmic contractions of the muscles. All these are examples of a micro movement. The migration of white blood cells to an area of injury, the flow of blood from one part to another is an example of micro movement. Macro movement is what can be observed externally. The movement of limbs, the movement of eyes, the rotation of the neck, or the physical movement of the body from one place to another. All these are examples of macro movement. Movement is the most important aspect of life because without movement, the life of man would be just in a non-functioning state. When movement is affected, other characteristics of life will also be affected. Respiration is another evidence to show that man is alive. But respiration cannot occur without movement. The breathing in and breathing out is brought by the contractions of the muscles in the chest. It's brought by the contractions of the muscles of the diaphragm. And when these muscles contract, the chest moves up during inspiration and moves down during expiration. That is a kind of movement. And when you breathe in, oxygen goes in, and when you exhale, carbon dioxide goes out. This will continue as long as life is present in a human being. Another one is growth. Growth is an essential evidence of life. Growth is brought by an increase in the size, the length, the shape, and the body. Another characteristic of life is reproduction. Reproduction is also dependent on movement. From the macro level, what happens? The coming together of a male and female. The sexual activity is a form of movement. The migration of spermatozoon, from a male component to a female component or to a female environment involves migration, movement. Not only that, when spermatozoon and ovum, egg, unite together, they form zygote. From zygote, growth begins to manifest. Another characteristic of life is the nutrition. For all this to happen, there must be a supply of energy. This energy is derived from food that we eat. Under this nutrition, we have digestion, absorption, assimilation, and excretion or elimination. Like I was saying, that nutrition provides nutrient to the body, and respiration and nutrition, they work together to provide energy to the body. Look at this equation, for instance. We consume glucose, this is glucose, and this glucose that we get from consuming carbohydrates combines with the oxygen that we breathe in. The oxygen molecules. As a result, we have water, we have carbon dioxide, and energy. This means that for the body to make use of energy, the body relies on the combination, on the chemical reaction between the glucose and oxygen to provide water, which is needed for cellular activities, which is needed for metabolic activities. This combination or chemical reaction also gives carbon dioxide, which is excreted out by exhalation, and energy that the body uses to perform metabolic activities. We can all see how respiration, nutrition, movement are related. Because for you to breathe in oxygen, there must be movement of chest. There must be movement of the chest, up and down. And the nutrition also involves movement. The swallowing of food, the peristaltic movement of food, even the elimination of undigested food as feces, all these involve movement. And the result of these activities bring about growth. Because for someone to grow, for the body to increase in size, it needs adequate amount of nutrition. Another characteristic of life is circulation. Circulation means the flow of blood, within the blood vessels, and this flow of blood is achieved by the pumping action of the heart. We can see that the flow of blood within the blood vessels is a form of movement. The pumping action of the heart is also a form of movement. For we to say that a man is alive, the heart must be beating. The beating means that the heart is pumping blood to the body for use. The flow of blood ensures that nutrients are delivered to the cells and tissues for use. The flow of blood is to ensure that oxygen is transported by diffusion to the cells and tissues, and carbon dioxide is exhaled because carbon dioxide is a waste product. If blood cannot flow in the blood vessel, that means there is a problem with the heart. Blood must be in a continuous movement or continuous motion within the blood vessels. Another characteristic of life is responsiveness. Responsiveness is talking about the reaction of the body to something. And this reaction can occur at micro level or macro level. How does the body respond to changes in the internal environment? And what is the internal environment? The internal environment consists of the intracellular fluid and extracellular fluid. What do we mean by the intracellular fluid and extracellular fluid? Look at this cell, for instance. This is a cell. The fluid inside the cell is called intracellular fluid, and the fluid outside the cell is called extracellular fluid. Anything outside the cell is known as extracellular. The body responds to ensure that there is balance between the intracellular environment and extracellular environment. If there is a problem that challenges this balance, the body responds to ensure that there is an appropriate amount there is appropriate amount of fluid and electrolytes between the intracellular environment and extracellular environment. Another example is the response of white blood cells against infection. The response of white blood cells against foreign bodies. The response of white blood cells against germs. This is a micro response. But when we talk about macro responsiveness, we are talking about how we as humans respond to external environment. We've talked about the responsiveness, the reactions to the internal environment. But how does the body respond to the external environment? What are you scared of? Are you scared of snakes? Are you scared of cockroaches? And when you see those things that you are scared of, how do you respond? When someone slaps your face or curses you, how do you respond? So, to be a human, there must be a sign of responsiveness to a situation. And the body does that internally and externally. So, there are systems that ensure that the body appropriately responds to changes in our environment. We have the nervous system, endocrine system, these two systems are a good example of systems that help the body to respond to changes in both the internal environment and external environment.